I didn't go down there to prove I was brave. I went because I hated not knowing. New York talks a lot, even when you're alone. Steam hisses, sirens cry, and the subway breathes like a big, tired animal. But that night, when I slipped through the broken service door near a quiet Lower Manhattan station, the city went strangely quiet. It felt like I had stepped behind a curtain that should never open. I had a backpack with a headlamp, 2 flashlights, a coil of cord, chalk, water, and a spare phone battery. I told myself I'd be smart. I tied the cord to a pipe by the door and ran it around my waist like a leash. I drew a chalk arrow on the tile, a simple line pointing out toward safety. Then I whispered into my phone, which I left recording. Entry, 1:14 a.m. If this recording stops. I came down the old maintenance tunnel, by I named the cross street. I'll be back by 3. People had sent me rumors for months. Forgotten platform under the City Hall loop. Tunnel that smells like bleach and pennies. Room where the announcements never stop. Most were the same old urban explorer bait. But last week, I got a short message with a map. No words, just a hand-drawn path and a small X where the sender wrote they live. I laughed then. Now my breath made a thin white cloud in the stale, cool air. I moved slowly. The tunnel was narrow at first, low and wet. My beam showed old brick, sweating black with moisture. Water dripped from somewhere unseen. The third rail sat sleep quiet like a snake, metal, dull and mean. I kept to the service walk, toes finding the firm spots out of habit. A rat ran past my boot and did not even squeak. That made me stop. Rats always talk. This one ran silent, as if someone had told it to keep quiet. After 20 minutes, the tunnel opened into a chamber with tiled arches. The tiles were cream and green, cracked but still pretty. In the middle stood an old bench with iron feet and wooden slats. On the slats, somebody had stacked coins in neat towers, pennies, nickels, quarters, even a few old tokens in the shape of little suns. Each tower was exact. Not one coin leaned. I reached out, then pulled my hand back. Touching felt wrong, like putting your fingers in a stranger's pocket. "Who's there?" I said, and my voice came back to me as a whisper. That wasn't mine. I clicked off the headlamp, stood still, and listened. Far away, I heard a slow pulse. Not a train, not traffic. It was the rhythm of the recorded voice you hear on platforms. The one that says, "Stand clear of the closing doors, please." Only this was too slow, like a big machine trying to remember how to speak. I turned the light back on. The coin towers were unchanged. I drew a chalk arrow on a pillar pointing back the way I came, and a second arrow pointing forward. The forward arrow looked shaky, even though my hand was steady. I told myself it was nothing. The map in my pocket said to go left. At the next fork, the fork came, and it smelled like bleach and something sweet, the way an old mop closet smells on a hot day. I went left. My cord scraped softly on old bolts and broken tile. My light found another chalk marcan arrow ready on the wall ahead of me, pointing deeper. It wasn't mine. It was the same shape though. Same one-line style, same small nick near the point. I walked faster now. The air felt heavier, like the city had exhaled and decided to hold its breath. My cord tugged on my waist as it caught on rebar, then slid free. The beam of my light jumped over posters glued to the wall. The posters were for safety and rules, and if you see something, say something, but someone had cut out the eyes of every person printed there. The holes were black and perfect. The pulse came again, a little closer. Stand clear. Stand clear. Stand clear. I reached a steel door with a wired glass window. The glass was dusty, so I wiped it with my sleeve. Inside, a small room sat ready for a worker who never returned. A metal desk, a dented locker, a radio with its cord cut. On the desk, a collection of found things, a child's green shoe, a subway map folded into a crane, a mirror cracked right down the center. On the wall, scratched into the paint, someone had written in big letters, "Do not answer if I knows your name." My light shivered in my hand. I told myself not to be stupid. It was just graffiti. People write things to scare people like me. But my mouth was dry, and I kept moving. The tunnel made a gentle curve and climbed a little. The floor changed from brick to poured concrete. Here and there, square maintenance lights glowed weak and yellow. The lights hummed the way old lights do, but the hum kept sliding into that other rhythm. Stand clear, slow, wrong, almost like a lullaby. I came to another open space. It looked like a platform that never opened to the public. The ceiling was high and tiled like a shell. A row of glass cases lined the wall with old ads inside soap and cigarettes, and a picture of a smiling man in a hat pointing to the future. In the middle, a metal sign hung on to rusted chains. It said, "Doors close first, mind the gap." Someone had scratched out gap and written grave. In the gap between the platform and the tracks, something white glowed. I knelt and saw it was chalk, a fat stick of it worn to a soft point. I picked it up. It was warm, like someone had just used it. I looked back at my last arrow in the distance, faint and small. My cord tugged again, and I realized it wasn't slack anymore. It was tight, like a fishing line. I pulled. It didn't give. I turned my light and saw the cord disappear around a bend where I had already walked. It looked like the tunnel itself was pulling me back. I cut the line with the small knife on my keychain. The cord fell to the floor like a dead snake. I told myself to leave. This was enough. I had footage. I had sound. I could make a video about the coins and the cut-out eyes and call it a night. But the map in my pocket felt heavy, like a hand pressing me forward. I held the chalk and drew another arrow on the wall. The line came out crooked and ugly, not like my usual marks. The chalk tip was soft, like skin. I kept going. The tunnel narrowed and began to echo in a strange way. When I coughed, the sound came back to me late, with an extra cough added, like someone taking my voice and trying it on. My light caught fresh footprints on the dusty floor. They were prints of boots, the kind city workers wear, but the step length was wrong, too long. Then too short, then long again, like the walker kept changing size. "Hello," I said. "Worker, I'm not here to bother you." The words sounded small. They went ahead of me, then died. For a moment, I thought I heard them again, but it wasn't echo. It was that other voice, slow and wrong, pulling my words apart. Not here, to bother. I turned off my light and stood in the dark. I told myself to listen like a real explorer, not like a scared kid. Air moved, water dripped. Far away, a metal sound tapped like a spoon on a pipe. 3 taps, pause, 1 tap, pause, 3 taps again. I remembered the warning on the wall. Do not answer if it knows your name. It didn't know my name. It had my words, but not my name. I thought of that, and then the tapping changed to the beat of the announcement voice. Stand clear. I turned the light on, and there it was. It stood down the tunnel, where the curve cut it in half. My first thought was that it wore a city worker's safety vest. Reflective stripes caught my light and sent it back in broken lines. But the vest was wrong. It was not one vest. It was many, cut and stitched together, layers and layers, like petals of a metal flower. The shape under the vests was too tall and too thin and not sure how to stand. Its head was covered by a hat made from old lost and found tags, hundreds of them, all the little paper slips tied to a frame so it was more like a veil. The tags moved when it breathed. I could not see a face. The thing did not step. It slid, quiet on the concrete, like it didn't want to wake the old rails. It stopped 20 feet from me. The tags shook. A soft, copied voice came from behind the paper. Stand clear of me, please. I couldn't breathe. Sweat ran down my back and felt cold as ice. My light trembled across it. The reflective stripes looked like eyes when they moved. I thought of the coin towers, the cut-out poster eyes, the warm chalk. Someone had been down here a long time. Someone had changed. Or something had made them change. It spoke again, faster now, a little more like a real announcement, as if it had found the right speed. Stand clear of the closing doors, it said, and then it added my name. Hearing your name in the dark changes everything. My name sounded wrong the way it said it, like teeth on glass. I did not ask how it knew. I did not want to know. The warning on the wall burned in my head. Do not answer if it knows your name. I took one slow step back. My heel knocked a bolt, and the sound flew down the tunnel like a thrown coin. The thing tilted its head. The tags shifted, and I saw a sliver of something pale behind them. Not skin, not bone. A shape like a hand unfolded from under the vests, and I understood the coin towers. The fingers were too many and too careful. I'm leaving, I said. My voice shook. I'm leaving right now. It copied me at the wrong speed. I'm leaving right now. I didn't turn around. I walked backward, one step, another, holding the light steady, trying not to trip. The thing glided forward, the same amount. Not fast, not slow, like we were tied together by a tape measure. We passed the little platform again, the glass posters with the cut eyes. We passed the steel door with the warning. I tried the knob. It didn't turn. I drew another chalk arrow with the soft, warm chalk. My hand shook so hard the arrow looked like a broken bone. The thing watched me draw. Then, while I stared, it raised one long hand and drew another arrow above mine, perfect and neat, pointing. The other way, do not cross, it said. Stand clear. I understood then. My chalk arrows had not been mine alone. It had been drawing to. It had pulled my cord. It had stacked coins to see if fingers could remember order. It had cut eyes out of posters so the walls would stop staring. It had tried to speak for so long that the whole tunnel had learned the rhythm of that. Single sentence. I took one more step back and hit the edge of the old chamber with the bench. The coin towers were gone. In their place lay a neat line of tokens, like a small path. The line aimed at the way out. I did not argue with the gift. I followed the tokens one by one, keeping my light on the thing. It did not come closer. It kept that same steady distance, hovering, tags breathing, stripes shining. Twice it raised its hand and pointed behind me, as if reminding me not to look away from the path. Twice I nodded, because it felt rude not to. Finally, I saw my first chalk arrow on the pillar by the entrance, pale and friendly. The broken service door leaned open like a mouth. Street air pushed, weak and blessed across my face. The city's noise returned all at once. Distant engines, a shout, a horn. I stepped backward through the door and put my hand on the cold pipe, where I had tied my cord. The knot was still there, but the cord itself was cut, clean and straight. I stood in the little space behind the door for a long time, light off, breathing like I had run a marathon. When I finally looked back through the crack, there was only tunnel and tile. No tags, no stripes. The coin tokens were gone too. I climbed the stairs to the quiet street. Dawn hadn't come yet. The sky was the deep blue right before morning. I sat on the curb and laughed once. A broken little bark that sounded nothing like me. When I got home, I downloaded the recording. The audio was long and full of small sounds. My steps, my breath, the distant water, the slow, wrong rhythm. At 2:28 a.m., the recording caught my voice saying, "I'm leaving right now." After a pause, it caught the other voice copying me. The file tagged it as announcement. I scrubbed back and forth. At 1:43 a.m., a whisper I did not hear down there said, very softly, "Welcome back," and then my name. It knew my name from the start. I showered twice, but the smell of bleach and pennies stuck in my nose all day. When I took off my jeans to toss them in the wash, something fell from the cuff. I picked it up with 2 fingers and set it on the counter. It was a subway token, old and golden, with a tiny crosshatch of chalk on one side like a little arrow. I keep it in a drawer now. Some nights, when the radiator pops or a truck breaks outside, I hear that slow rhythm again in my head. Stand clear. Stand clear. People ask me if I'll go back. They send me maps and dare me. They call me brave. I don't feel brave. I feel watched. Something is living down there. It knows the rules better than we do. It loves order and it hates eyes. It stacks coins when it wants to remember fingers. It borrows our words one piece at a time until our voices fit its mouth. It will help you leave if you follow the path it gives you. It will let you stay if you answer when it says your name. I am not going back. Not because I am afraid of the dark, but because it was kind, and I don't want to make it choose again. If you ride the subway late and the announcements slow down, if the voice feels tired and wrong, don't listen for your train. Listen for your name. And if you hear it, do not answer. Stand clear.